What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Sector for Nerds. Today I'm here to give you guys my thoughts on Star Wars The Bad Batch Season 3. Before we begin, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Also, make sure you guys are keeping an eye out on my community tab. I've got a couple polls out right now, and I'm going to continue to put some more out as the days and weeks go on. Right now, we're doing a tournament to determine the best Star Wars movie, so make sure you guys cast your votes in for that. Definitely don't want to miss out on that. Okay, Bad Batch Season 3. Let's talk about it. Overall, while I did like The Bad Batch Season 3, I don't think it was my favorite season. Honestly, I feel like my favorite season, you guys, of The Bad Batch would have to be Season 1. I enjoyed them just going on random missions together and trying to find their way throughout this ever-changing galaxy. Once we started getting to Season 2, and especially into Season 3, it became very clear what it was that they were trying to do with this whole Tantus storyline and them trying to rescue their brothers and also rescue Omega. With that in mind, though, there were some episodes where I just thought like, okay, yeah, these were fine, or this was helping us move the story along, but some of them don't have that rewatchability factor to it, you know? But every show in Star Wars is gonna have episodes like that. Even Clone Wars and Rebels doesn't make them bad shows. Well, this season did pay off many of our stories with The Bad Batch, with Crosshair and his journey, the stuff that we went through with Emery and the children. There were also a lot of stories that didn't have a payoff. And that's fine if there is going to be a payoff later on in time. Because when you really look back at Season 3, and I'm thinking about what are my favorite moments, what are my favorite episodes from that season, I feel like a lot of them didn't necessarily have much to do with The Bad Batch. Like, for example, the Rex and Wolffe story. That episode of theirs is one of my favorite episodes of the show, and it's merely because of the final 2 minutes of that episode, where they have that stare-off, and Rex is trying to get through to Wolffe and being like, the Empire has been imprisoning and experimenting on our brothers. We can stop them. You can help us. It's crazy, like, how you can have a scene where you have so many characters with, like, the Bad Batch, who are all our main characters. You've got Hauser there. You've got all these other clones there, and it's like all of it is just background noise for these two characters, and I guess Omega too for a little bit, but it's mostly Rex and Wolffe here, and it's just, oh my gosh, I love that scene so much. And then, of course, the Asajj Ventress episode, which was absolutely fantastic. Like the Rex and Wolffe episode, you know, we didn't see Wolffe go off with Rex and, you know, be like, oh, hey, well, that's how we get to Rebels. Like, no, we didn't get there. And it's the same with this Ventress thing. Yeah, we had this book where she definitively died, but now we brought her back. And how did they bring her back? And they didn't say, which is fine, again, as long as this is something that is addressed later. But that Ventress episode, you guys, it was so interesting to me to sort of see Ventress not as like a fully light side character, but definitely more towards the light now than she necessarily was in Clone Wars. That moment with her and Omega on that boat, them kind of having that Luke and Yoda moment where Luke says, you want the impossible, when he tries to lift the X-Wing and Yoda then ends up lifting it out of the water. Such an iconic Star Wars moment. And they kind of replicated that here with Omega, just being like, I bet you can't do anything. Ventress like, all right, watch me. And that fight scene with her and the three members of the Bad Batch is by far the best fight scene in that entire show. I know this doesn't pertain to Season 3, but I would have loved to have seen where Commander Cody went. All we got was that one episode of him in Season 2, and they said that, oh, he went AWOL, and that's all we know. This is not uncommon, though, for Star Wars shows to be able to have all of these open-ended questions and not everything necessarily getting answered. And I think the reason why I very much hesitate with these things a lot of the time is because I always worry that they're not going to have the opportunity to tell these stories later. So that's why I'm like, okay, we'll just do this now. But I understand the need to, like, save some things. You got to save some things in the vault to be able to tell future stories. I understand that. It's just, when you are invested in a show that you watch for a good, 5 or 6 years, and then it all of a sudden gets canceled on you, and your heart is broken, and feels like your childhood is ruined, and I don't know, sometimes I fail to trust the process sometimes, but sometimes you just wonder why. Thanks, Disney. But I guess in terms of the Bad Batch story for this season, you guys, a lot of it pertained to Crosshair, and him you know, when he first gets back together with the Bad Batch, there's a lot of tension. Because come to think of it, they never even crossed paths in season 2, I don't think. The last time that they would have seen each other was that finale episode of season 1 where they leave Kamino without Crosshair. Because he says, I'm staying with the Empire. So, of course, they get back together. There's that tension. Then you have the next episode where him and Hunter finally get on good terms. And then a couple episodes later, you have Crosshair and Hauser getting on good terms with each other after what went down between the two of them in season 1. So it was very cool to see Crosshair earning everybody's trust and for him to have that relationship with Omega where it started to feel like he started to be that father figure for a little bit for Omega. Obviously, that person will always be Hunter. And I think the final scene of this finale episode of season 3 proved that. For Crosshair to have that hand twitch the entire season because he was just so afraid and scarred by what Tantus did to him. And then for him to have to go back there because of Omega, because he knew that Omega did it for him, he's going to do it for her. And he gets there and his hand is still shaking and it gets to a point where the trooper freaking cuts his hand off. But yeah, Crosshair had a heck of a journey throughout this season. My man Wrecker had a couple moments to shine, not exactly as much as I would have liked. There's a part of me that feels like an idiot and not feeling like an idiot when it comes to the death of Tech that we saw at the end of season 2. Because I even put out videos saying like, hey, I think this dude is still alive and here's why. I mean, how many times, you guys, have we seen a character like either fall or do something where you think they're dead and then, oh, nope, they're still alive? It wasn't until Crosshair said in, like, I think it was the finale episode where he says, Clone Force 99 died when Tech died. And I think that was the moment where I finally came to grips with like, oh, this dude is actually dead. So I feel bad for like hanging on to that the entire season, but I also don't necessarily think it's my fault considering the precedent that Star Wars has set themselves when it comes to situations like this. And I guess, you guys, the other thing that I want to talk about is that epilogue scene, which Dave Filoni and company do such a great job at. They did one for Rebels and it was absolutely beautiful. It's always one of those things, right, where you end one story, but then you open up the door for another. And that's what it did here. So it opens up a possibility for us to see Omega again, for us to see the Bad Batch again. In the same way that the Rebels finale left it open-ended to be like, okay, well, when are we going to see Ahsoka and Sabine again? When are we going to go find Ezra? What's going to happen with Thrawn? And that led to the Ahsoka series. And that will lead to, you know, a future movie that's going to probably involve Thrawn and Ahsoka and all these characters that we've assembled in the Mandoverse timeline. Dave's really good with stuff like that. But yeah, overall, you guys, I thought season 3 was a fairly enjoyable season. Some episodes I enjoyed more than others. Others maybe I didn't enjoy so much. But overall, you guys, I think Bad Batch is a solid B-level show. I have said that since day one. I continue to stand by that now. Solid work done with the Bad Batch. Everyone that worked on the show should be proud of themselves for what they were able to accomplish and for what they were able to achieve with it. And very excited to see what the animation division has in store next for us. That is going to wrap us up for today, you guys. Let me know in the comments below what you guys thought about the Bad Batch Season 3. Let me know all your thoughts. And be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, share this video with others to help support the channel. Remember, go look at my community tab, vote on those polls, and I will see you guys next time.